Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the most pivotal battles in history, examining the strategic decisions, tactical innovations, and human experiences that shape the course of conflict. I'm your host, General Biography, and today we're going to explore one of the most decisive battles of the American Revolutionary War, the Battle of Saratoga. The Continental Army, led by General Horatio Gates, had been marching through the wilderness, driven by a sense of urgency and uncertainty. Meanwhile, the British Army, under the command of General John Burgoyne, was advancing south from Canada, seeking to split the colonies and negotiate a negotiated settlement. To understand the origins of this battle, we must journey back to the summer of 1777, when Burgoyne's army began its march from Montreal, Quebec. On June 17, 1777, Burgoyne's forces crossed into New York, intent on capturing Fort Ticonderoga, a strategic outpost on Lake Champlain. The British Army's plan was to divide the colonies by controlling the Hudson River Valley, thereby isolating New England from the rest of the continent. As Burgoyne's army marched south, they encountered numerous obstacles, including swamps, forests, and raging rivers. The British Army's supply lines were stretched thin, and their troops began to feel the strain of marching through the wilderness with limited provisions. Meanwhile, the Continental Army was regrouping and preparing for the impending battle. By early July 1777, Burgoyne's army had reached the outskirts of Fort Edward, a strategic outpost on the Hudson River. However, instead of pressing onward to Albany, Burgoyne chose to divert his attention to the capture of Fort Stanwix, a key American stronghold in the Mohawk Valley. This decision would prove to be a crucial mistake, as it allowed the Continental Army to regroup and prepare for the impending battle. The Continental Army, led by General Philip Schuyler, had been fortifying its positions near Saratoga, including the construction of earthworks and redoubts on Bemis Heights. The American forces were comprised of troops from various states, including New York, Massachusetts, and Vermont, with a total strength of approximately 12,000 soldiers. The Continental Army had established a strong defensive position near Saratoga, while Burgoyne's army was pushing forward, driven by a sense of urgency and a desire to achieve a quick victory. On September 13, 1777, the two armies clashed at the Battle of Freeman's Farm, a precursor to the main battle that would take place several days later. The Battle of Freeman's Farm was a bloody and intense engagement, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The American forces, led by General Benedict Arnold, fought valiantly, but were ultimately forced to retreat back to their defensive positions on Bemis Heights. Despite this setback, the Continental Army remained determined to defend its position and repel the British invasion. The fate of the Revolution hung in the balance, and the outcome of this battle would have far-reaching consequences for the course of the war and the future of the United States. We left off with the Continental Army, led by General Horatio Gates, having established a strong defensive position near Saratoga, while General John Burgoyne's British Army was pushing forward, driven by a sense of urgency and a desire to achieve a quick victory. As the days passed, the two armies engaged in a series of skirmishes and reconnaissance missions, each side probing for weaknesses in the other's defenses. On September 19, 1777, the British Army launched a full-scale attack on the American positions on Bemis Heights, hoping to break through the Continental Army's lines and gain control of the Hudson River Valley. The battle was fierce and intense, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The American forces, led by General Benedict Arnold, fought valiantly, using their knowledge of the terrain to outmaneuver the British troops. Despite being outnumbered, the Continental Army held its ground, repelling wave after wave of British attacks. As the day wore on, the British Army began to falter, its troops exhausted and demoralized by the relentless American defenses. Burgoyne's decision to divert his attention to the capture of Fort Stanwix had proven to be a crucial mistake, as it allowed the Continental Army to regroup and prepare for the impending battle. The turning point of the battle came when General Arnold, disobeying orders from General Gates, led a daring charge against the British lines, capturing key positions and breaking the enemy's will to fight. As one American soldier later recalled, the enemy was so surprised and terrified by our sudden attack that they hardly knew what to do. As the British Army retreated in disarray, the Continental Army emerged victorious, having secured a crucial victory that would change the course of the war. The Battle of Saratoga marked a significant turning point in American history as it convinced France to ally itself with the Americans, providing significant financial and military support to the Continental Army. The fate of the revolution hung in the balance, and the outcome of this battle would have far-reaching consequences for the course of the war and the future of the United States. The British Army's defeat marked a significant turning point in the war, as it convinced France to ally itself with the Americans, providing crucial financial and military support to the Continental Army. The days following the battle were marked by a series of negotiations between General Horatio Gates and General John Burgoyne as the British commander attempted to secure favorable terms for his surrender. On October 17, 1777, Burgoyne's army formally surrendered, with over 6,000 British soldiers laying down their arms. The surrender was a significant blow to British prestige, and it marked a major shift in the balance of power in North America. The consequences of the battle were far-reaching, as it led to a significant increase in French support for the American cause. In February 1778, France formally allied itself with the United States, providing significant financial and military aid to the Continental Army. This alliance helped to shift the balance of power in favor of the Americans, and it ultimately contributed to the British defeat at Yorktown in 1781. The Battle of Saratoga also had a profound impact on the Continental Army, as it boosted morale and helped to establish the army as a credible fighting force. The victory marked a significant turning point in the career of General Benedict Arnold, who had played a key role in the battle. However, Arnold's subsequent betrayal of the American cause remains one of the most infamous episodes in American history. Today, the battlefield is preserved as a National Historic Park, and it remains a popular destination for tourists and historians alike. The battle marked a major turning point in the war, as it convinced France to ally itself with the Americans and ultimately contributed to the British defeat at Yorktown. The bravery and determination of the Continental Army, as exemplified by the victory at Saratoga, continue to inspire Americans to this day. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.